The 27 Club has claimed many promising young artists who appear to lead charmed lives right up until their tragic, often shocking ends. Here are just some of the lost stars who never made it to 28. Chance Perdomo was born in 1996 in Los Angeles, but grew up in the UK, where he found his calling as an actor. His first major role was Ambrose Spellman in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. His star was on the rise with his latest role as Andre Anderson in Gen V, a spin-off of the Amazon Prime series The Boys. But on March 29, 2024, Perdomo was killed in a motorcycle accident. His publicist released a statement to Variety saying, "It is with heavy hearts that we share the news of Chance Perdomo's untimely passing as a result of a motorcycle accident. His passion for the arts and insatiable appetite for life was felt by all who knew him, and his warmth will carry on in those who he loved dearest." The Minutemen were among the most beloved punk bands of the 80s, and their guitarist, D. Boon, was a huge reason why. An innovative guitar player who fused hardcore with folk, funk, and classic rock influences, D. Boon sounded like nobody else. He didn't write like anyone else either, composing witty but inflammatory songs like Bob Dylan wrote propaganda songs, "Do You Want New Wave or Do You Want the Truth?" and political song for Michael Jackson to sing. Boon was clearly having fun doing what he did. It's a shame then that it ended so quickly. On December 22, 1985, Boon was killed in a motor vehicle accident in Arizona. His death also brought an end to the Minutemen, long before their time should have been up. The English rock band Echo and the Bunnymen has been successful since the late 1970s, but drummer Pete de Freitas only lived to see part of it. He joined the group in 1980 and played on the band's first 5 albums. The band's manager, Bill Drummond, told Mojo for Music, "Pete was once the sanest and most balanced of the Bunnymen."
I mean, there's a lot of stuff which really gets on your nerves, like touring constantly.
But drugs and manic episodes took their toll on de Freitas, and he left the band in 1986. A year later, and newly married, he returned to record a new album. His daughter was born the following year. By 1988, it looked like de Freitas was back to being the sane one. Tragically, this new phase of his life didn't last. On June 14, 1989, de Freitas was riding his motorcycle from Liverpool to London when he collided with the car and died. Echo and the Bunnymen stayed together after his death and continue to make music today. Harry Hains was just beginning to make a name for himself thanks to appearances in popular series like American Horror Story and The OA. His largest role was in the 2015 indie film The Surface, in which he played a disaffected young man searching for a sense of family.
So you've been making a lot of movies?
Probably too many.
In late 2019, the 27-year-old gender-fluid actor was working on a horror movie titled Clowns and the miniseries Extra Life. But behind the scenes, Hains struggled with addiction and mental illness. On January 10th, his mother, actress Jane Badler, shared on her Instagram that her son had died, writing, "A brilliant spark shone bright too short a time. I will miss you, Harry, every day of my life." In a comment on her post, actor John Stamos credited Hains with helping him through a dark time in his own life. Sadly, Hains wasn't so lucky. His official cause of death was an accidental fentanyl overdose. The Florida-based power pop band Surfer Blood formed in 2009 and quickly caught on with indie rock fans. The band's first albums, Astro Coast, Pythons, and 1000 Palms, along with hit singles like Swim and Floating Vibes, were driven by the bright, clipped 90s throwback-style guitar work of Thomas Fekete. Fekete also released a cassette-only album under his own name, after years of touring and recording with Surfer Blood. In 2015, Fekete had surgery to remove a large abdominal tumor. He was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of cancer, which soon spread to the musician's spine and lungs.
He sold all but one of his treasured pieces of music equipment to pay for the treatments insurance won't cover.
On May 30th, 2016, Fekete died of cancer at the age of 27. The Lost Boys is a hip-hop crew formed in 1993 by South Jamaica Queens, New York friends Pretty Lou, Spig Nice, Mr. Cheeks, and Freaky Ta, who started making music together as teenagers. The group scored some energetic, visceral hits, including Lifestyles of the Rich and Shameless, Get Up, Music Makes Me High, and Renee, an R&B/hip-hop hybrid that heavily features Freaky Ta. Just before 4 a.m. on March 28, 1999, Freaky Ta, whose real name was Raymond Rogers, was leaving a party at 4 Point Sheraton Hotel in Queens, New York, when he was shot in the head by a gunman wearing a ski mask. The rapper was rushed to Jamaica Hospital Medical Center and died half an hour after arrival. Kelvin Jones pleaded guilty to murdering the 27-year-old rapper. One of the most promising rock bands of the late 1960s, Canned Heat were purveyors of a gritty, party-worthy boogie rock sound that combined elements of the blues with the sounds of heavy metal and psychedelic rock. The band's musical director and frontman was Alan Blind Owl Wilson. Canned Heat played two of the most legendary festivals of the time, Woodstock and Monterey Pop. and recorded major hits like On the Road Again and Going Up the Country. In September 1970, the 27-year-old singer, guitarist, and harmonica player was found dead in a sleeping bag on the property behind a friend's home in Los Angeles' Topanga Canyon. Sleeping pills were found in Wilson's possession, and a representative of Canned Heat's label, Liberty Records, claimed the musician suffered from depression. While Wilson's cause of death was determined to be a barbiturate overdose, it was never proven that he'd done so intentionally. Barreling loudly and chaotically out of Detroit in the 1960s, the Stooges brought big energy, a sense of danger, and fast, feedback-heavy guitar riffs to rock and roll. Along with the wild stage antics and theatrical vocals of singer Iggy Pop, the thunderous bass playing of Dave Alexander factors heavily into the Stooges' early work. But according to the Encyclopedia of Dead Rock Stars, Alexander's heavy use of hard drugs led him to forget how to play the band's songs during a 1970 set at the Jackson Goose Lake Festival, and at one point didn't realize his amp was off. As a result, Iggy Pop fired Alexander and replaced him with Ron Ashton. Alexander continued to use drugs, and his health declined until he developed pneumonia and died in February 1975 at age 27. Stone the Crows emerged from the Scottish pub rock scene in the early 1970s. At the time, they looked to be competitors of similar blues-heavy bands from the UK popular at the time, including Led Zeppelin, whose manager Peter Grant produced some of Stone the Crow's records. The band's sound was built on the interplay between the howling vocals of singer Maggie Bell and the riffs of guitarist Les Harvey. The band's original lineup played together for about 3 years. Then, on May 3, 1972, Harvey was tuning his guitar on stage at a concert in Wales, with around 1,200 fans bearing witness. Harvey innocently reached out for a microphone, without realizing it hadn't been properly grounded. It sent a massive jolt of electricity into his body, and the 27-year-old Harvey was pronounced dead at a local hospital shortly thereafter. Thuy Trang's career was brief but memorable. In addition to roles in the 1996 movies The Crow, City of Angels, and Spy Hard, Trang played Trini Kwan, the original Yellow Ranger on the first iteration of the popular martial arts meets fighting robots action show Mighty Morphin Power Rangers from 1993 to 1994.
I can't do it, but I have to.
In September 2001, Trang was set to serve as a bridesmaid in the wedding of her friend, Angela Rockwood. The women were in a car driven by another bridesmaid, going from San Francisco to Los Angeles, when the driver lost control of the car, swerved off course, and struck a rock face bordering the road. Trang didn't survive. She was just 27 years old at the time. In 2010, the New England Patriots drafted University of Florida tight end Aaron Hernandez, but the athlete's dark off-the-field activities far overshadowed his achievements on the field.
No one has allegedly murdered 2 people and then played an entire season as a professional athlete.
In 2013, police arrested Hernandez and charged him with the murder of his friend, Odin Lloyd, a semi-pro football player. He was later implicated in the deaths of Daniel De Abreu and Safiro Furtado. Hernandez was found guilty of Lloyd's murder, but not the latter ones, and received a life sentence. One morning in April 2017, Sousa Baranowski Correctional Center staff discovered an unresponsive Hernandez in his cell, hanging by a bedsheet. An hour later, he was pronounced dead. Massachusetts State Police discovered 3 notes near Hernandez's body, and after investigating the manner of the death, authorities ruled the 27-year-old former football player's death a suicide by hanging. Selected by the Arizona Cardinals in the 1998 NFL Draft, Arizona State defensive back Pat Tillman split his time in the pros between the free safety and strong safety positions. Tillman played for 3 full seasons and nearly all of a 4th. He was a tackling and intercepting machine for the Cardinals until he abruptly retired from football after playing 12 games in the 2001 NFL season. In the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, Tillman quit football to join the U.S. Army, foregoing a $3.6 million contract to become an Army Ranger.
You know, my great-grandfather was at Pearl Harbor, and a lot of my family has gone and fought in wars, and I really haven't done a damn thing. While
patrolling in a rural area of eastern Afghanistan in April 2004, Tillman was struck by gunfire and died from his wounds. The U.S. Army reported that Tillman's death was a result of an enemy ambush, and he received a posthumous promotion to corporal. He was also awarded a Purple Heart and Silver Star. But a few weeks later, Tillman's family received word that the athlete-turned-soldier had died in a friendly fire incident, inadvertently shot and killed by fellow American troops. Tillman was 27. The show 1923, a prequel to Yellowstone, tackles some horrifying realities of American history, including the settlers' treatment of Native Americans. Actor Cole Brings Plenty played Pete Plenty Clouds, a Native American sheep herder. In addition to his work on the show, he was an activist and visited the U.S. Senate in 2023 to speak about issues affecting indigenous people in the United States. He was found dead on April 5, 2024, at age 27. According to a statement released by the Johnson County Sheriff's Office, officials found the body in a wooded area at 200th and Homestead Lane, where they were sent to investigate an unoccupied vehicle. As reported by the New York Times, Brings Plenty went missing on the morning of March 31st, the same day the Lawrence Police Department said it had submitted an affidavit for his arrest. He was a suspect in a domestic abuse incident that took place earlier that morning and was last seen in Lawrence, Kansas. No cause of death has yet been released.